Okay, now I'm back, and I think, oh, there's a little button I'm looking for. Okay, Shelby, hop on the live again, because like usually when I do lives on my phone, like when people, hi Jesse, when people hop on it, like ask me if I want to invite them. Okay, you're watching, and now it should say, aha. Okay, here we go. Wait, this one. Yes. Yes, bring Shelby on camera. That is what I want to do. Awesome. I'm adding you right now, Shelby. Yay! We did it. Oh my gosh, that was like more complicated than it had to be because I don't know how to add people on my laptop. So anyway, I just want to, let's see. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Okay, so yay! Okay, so Shelby, thank you so much for joining me on this first interview of Hope. And I'm not sure what that noise is. Maybe because I have like too many things going on because I have like my iPad and my laptop and my phone trying to figure out all this stuff. But anyway, so again, thank you so much, Shelby, for joining me and for taking the time to answer these questions I'm going to ask, because these are pretty tough questions and you are a brave, wonderful, beautiful soul. And I am just so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm nervous, but I'm happy to be here too.
Don't be nervous. You're lovely. You're beautiful, and you're so strong. And you encourage people, and like all the time. Like, oh my gosh, when you tag me in one of your posts, I'm just like, I got tagged because they're always so like uplifting. Okay, so I am pulling up the questions again. I should have had this all set up and prepared already, but lesson learned for next time, right? Okay, so my first question, and now this is a serious interview, guys. So I just, you guys can drop comments and ask questions, but don't ask too many personal questions. I'm just trying to like give a safe space for somebody to share their story, because when we share our stories, we help others. Like, we just do. So my very first question to you, Shelby, is what is your story?
Well, do you want my story? Like, I'm the mom of two amazing teenage boys and that story, or do you want the story that you put in the question?
Like, well, what's just part of your story? I mean, because now I guess I should have prefaced the opening, because people don't know what they're like. Why are we having an interview? Okay, so this interview is for Hope, which is for healing, outreach, purpose, and encouragement. And myself, being not a victim or a survivor, but an overcomer of past traumatic experiences, I'm strong enough now to share my story. And other women who went through the same healing process, they are strong enough now to share their stories. So the more we share, not to talk about negative things and woe is me and stuff like that. No, that's not the point. The point is when we break the silence and we speak up and we're like, hey, you can't overcome this. Like, we encourage other people to break the silence, and we encourage other people to get the help they need. And we encourage other people, that this isn't how my life has to be. So this interview is basically going to share how Shelby went from, victim to overcomer, because she's a total rock star now and a mom of two awesome sons. So just from the beginning,
Yeah.
Shelby, you don't have to like get into too detailed or anything, but like exact like stuff, But so my question is, what's your story? Meaning, were you molested, assaulted, abused?
I was assaulted.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a rape.
Yeah. And I am 32 years old, and like it wasn't until within the last year I was actually able to say the word like rape. Like I refused to say it. Like I never said it. So just the fact that you can just say it, I was just like, wow, she got some cojones, because it took me like 2 years before I can say that word. Okay, so when that awful thing happened, like who did you tell when it happened, or did you stay silent? Because I know a lot of people, like when bad stuff happens, we kind of stay silent.
Yeah, I was 15 years old and I stayed silent. I thought it was my fault. So I stayed silent about it.
And, I think a lot of us, especially when we're young, we think things are our fault. But the truth is, stuff that bad people do, it's not our fault. Now it's our choice, to like work through it and go through it and things like that. But a lot of people don't even have direction for that, because I know I didn't. So have you ever asked God or the universe, like, whoever you believe, like, why was this travesty? Like why was this allowed to happen to me?
I did not. I was ashamed and felt like it was my fault. And then when I finally learned that it wasn't my fault and that, in fact, it was rape, if that makes sense. My fault.
You broke out a
Am I
little
here?
bit, so I didn't hear the last thing you said, but I heard.
I was relieved that it wasn't my fault, and that I could start moving forward at that point.
Amazing.
But I think with the next question,
right, because the next question is, what has been the emotional or psychological effects you have experienced as a result of what happened? And if you can give like a specific example.
Yes. So I was 15 and I was a, wild girl. I went to a party with some friends and I had gotten drunk, and, the guys there were feeding me alcohol, and I had remembered acting really flirty, but these men were 19 to 23. There was 4 of them. And afterwards, they called me a slut and all this stuff, you little whore, and so I really believed that it was my fault. And I ended up getting into other drugs and, anything to numb myself, trying to turn off my emotions. And I ended up getting arrested for drug possession when I was 22, which ended up leading me into healing and growing from the tragedy or
so
traumatic experience.
Right, and that's a very, similar, like with me, like, me joining the Navy is actually what propelled me to get, to start my own healing journey, because the CEO was like no more, like you're going to talk to somebody. But so question 5 is, what type of help, if any, did you receive, and how was that experience for you?
Well, I did drug court to get this charge off my record. And part of it was the whole thing was going to several groups a week and talking to a counselor to heal from my drug addiction. And actually, during my first step, you read your first step aloud in class. That's when my counselor was like, I was describing how, if I wouldn't have been drinking, I wouldn't have been such a slut, and, telling them what happened. And she said, that is rape. That is not, you were not being a slut. And I ended up going to several sessions with her for her to get me to believe that it wasn't my fault. And when I finally did, it was so freeing. So yeah, that's that.
It's very freeing. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to break free of that. So I don't know, my phone did something weird. Okay, so do you think that bringing up something so painful, do you think it helps more or that it hurts more?
I love helping others, and I think it helps more personally because, that's the best thing that can come out of a situation like this is my pain being able to help somebody else. Maybe there's another girl that had something like this happen to her when she was a younger teen that will happen to be watching this and realize that it's not her fault, and that's the best I can hope for. It also helps anytime you talk about something from your past that is traumatic. It might stir up a little negative emotions, and you might notice that you're a little emotional, but ultimately it helps to heal you. That's what I believe.
And I concur. Yeah, I was silent for a really, really long time. But now it's like, and you know this for yourself too, Shelby, like, when you are getting healing and you aren't able to talk about it and you start sharing your story and you realize you encourage other women or other people in general, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like, it's not like about me anymore. Now it's we heal and we do that part, but it's like there's a bigger picture of making waves and encouraging others to be strong. And so when were you able
sorry.
no, you're fine.
Women,
exactly,
unfortunate.
Yeah, so when were you able to put all this behind you and get on with your life?
Well, I was 23 when I got the counseling for it, and I'm 41 now, so it's been about 17 years. I don't talk about it very often, but I do every once in a while. If I'm sharing my story with someone else who is also an overcomer, I feel like you and I bonded over it, and it's just knowing that somebody else has been through the same thing that you have been through, it helps you to be stronger somehow. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And it does. It's like, I don't know exactly how, but I know like when we met in person in Vegas at the Uncorked wine thingy, like, oh my gosh, like when we just started talking, like immediately, like my heart connected to your heart, because I was like, oh my gosh, we're like sisters in this, and we can like understand each other and comfort each other and share, and just in that sharing, like you said earlier, like it makes us stronger as people, and then maybe it'll encourage somebody else.